Hey everybody, I'm Jesse and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm just exhausted. Worked a long day yesterday, worked a long day every day this week and the last couple of weeks. Still just tired, just woke up. Yesterday I got home, took a shower, ate dinner, went to bed, woke up this morning, had a cup of coffee, fell asleep in my chair, and I just woke up. So I haven't come up with a really good idea for today, but I promised y'all and myself that I'd make a video every day this week. You try to get back to normal, so I'm here. Hey Lorna, glad to see you here. I just don't have much of a subject today. I was hoping that a few people log in and just hang out with me for a few minutes. I've just been, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the channel and all that, but last week was hectic as far as my work goes, you know, my day job. And this week seems to be more of the same and just putting in long hours. Hey April. Glad to see you here. Good morning. But putting in long hours, and that's pretty much where I'm at now. And I just slept all morning. So I'm kind of unprepared for my video today. But like I said, I promised y'all and myself that I'd make a video every day this week. So here I am. And I'm always glad, though, afterward when I do live streams, because I have a good time on these live streams hanging out with y'all. Oh, you got a day off. All right, Lorna, that's good. Yeah, those are nice. Yep. Now, I have the opposite of insomnia. I'm working a lot of hours, and that's all I do is work and sleep. So, and make videos, of course. But yeah, I don't know if y'all have been keeping up with the tiny house, my short, you know, what's that called? The short, that group of videos. I can't think of the word right now, but the tiny house is coming along good. I put the base molding in yesterday. And we're going to put the countertops in today. So that's coming along. And I'll make another short this week. And hopefully next week we'll be wrapping it up. Do the final, you know, just touch-ups on everything. And I'll make a longer video on that. I'll walk around and do a whole walkthrough. I don't know, you know, it'll probably be 5 or 10 minutes. It just won't be a short. It won't be a long, you know, half-hour thing, but it'll be longer than a normal tiny house video. Yeah, we're getting older, that's for sure. Yeah, it's coming together, April. The tiny house is coming together, that's for sure. It's a job I'm proud of. That I can say that it's looking really nice. I think I've had some design input throughout the thing, you know, just through suggestions and stuff. I don't have the final say on the design, of course. It's not my house, but some of my suggestions have been taken and implemented. So I do have some design efforts in it. A lot of blood and sweat, so literally my DNA is in this house, which I think is a pretty cool thing. I think about it, and actually that house is literally part of me, you know what I mean? Because my blood and sweat is soaked into the timbers. So I think that's pretty cool. That thing will be there for many years to come, and it's literally part of me. Thank you, Lorna. Yeah, well, usually vintage and laic, and the people from overseas chime in on an average day. But I started a few minutes late today, so normally I start right at 4 o'clock. But today, like I said, I fell asleep, so I was about 10 minutes late today. So maybe they just thought that I wasn't making a video today because it's been a hectic couple of weeks. So they probably just thought that I wasn't making a video today, because I'm usually very on time. I usually start my video at 4. So when it didn't start at 4, they probably went off to watching another video. AF is probably watching an engine video, about engine rebuilding or something. So, and then I don't know what would Laic watch. Laic, that would be a good guess. Something to guess about, because he's liable to watch anything. But yeah, tiny house is coming along good. I was hoping that this week we'd actually, put in less hours, but we kind of got sidetracked onto something else, doing an easement last couple days, an easement into the property, so we pulled off the tiny house and we're digging fence posts and stuff. So that just added to the workload, So, but now that is done, we'll be back full time. It only took like a day and a half, though, 2 days. So that wasn't a great big deal, but still, it was something different. There he is. Laic, speak of the devil, and he does appear. What's going on, Laic? Just another guy in the woods. The government shut down? Yeah, shut it down. Yeah. I don't know. I've lived through, I don't know how many government shutdowns. How many times have they shut the government down? And they act like it's this big thing, like, the world is going to end or something. They shut the government down for, I don't know, a few days, a week or two, whatever it is. And it's never affected me at all. I mean, not even in the slightest. It's just a normal day when the government's not running. They can shut the whole damn thing down for good, as far as I'm concerned. I think it would probably be better. We should try it. Shut it down and let us just figure it out. We should try it. Yeah. It's kind of good. It's kind of all good in Norway Lake. Yeah. Yeah. I've always, even though I don't have any Scandinavian blood in me, I don't have any Norwegian blood or anything. I'm Scottish and German and Native American, but I've always kind of been partial to Scandinavia, Norway, just because of the Vikings, I don't know. Even when I was a little kid, I liked Norse mythology, even before I really understood what part of the world it came from. You know what I mean? I didn't even know it came from Norway and Sweden and that, and Denmark. I just loved Thor and Odin, and when I was a little kid. Probably because of the comic books. We have the Marvel comic book hero Thor, and I really liked Thor when I was a kid. He was really cool. I liked the way he talked and all that. So yeah, I've always been partial to Norse mythology and everything to do with Vikings and all that. It's always been very interesting to me. And I've watched that Viking TV show. You know, it's called Vikings. I've watched that whole series a couple of times with Hrothgar, Ragnar Lothbrok, and his sons, and all that. That was so cool. And then just the whole history of that, and how Norse culture got integrated into European culture through the Viking invasion, and why the days of our week are named the way they are, how our holidays came about because of Norse culture, and just the whole thing. It's just really cool. North Dakota, all right. Yeah, it's cold up there, boy. It's cold in North Dakota like it's hot in Florida. Yeah, they get a lot of snow up there, or they used to, before the global warming. It's a desert up there now. Probably cactuses have started growing. And yeah, Thor's a Viking, Lorna. Or he's a god of the Vikings, but yeah, basically. Oliver Rust, howdy. What's up, dude? Glad to see you here. Yeah, and Odin is Thor's dad. Loki is Thor's stepbrother, right? Or adopted brother more. And then you've got the Warriors 3. And Odin's just so awesome as a Norse, as a mythological figure or a god. Odin's just so cool with the ravens, and he would walk the earth and pretend to be other people and stuff, and he was just awesome. Yeah, and he gave up one of his eyes for something. I forget what now, but he sacrificed one of his eyes, and those old Norse stories are just amazing. Yeah, they're really cool. AF. I hope she's working on your engine. Yeah, I hope she's getting your shit straight so you can watch the Gen X things instead of those engine videos, AF. You got her on a dolly underneath your truck working on that shit. Yeah, all right. That's too funny. Glad you can make it, AF. Oh, an eye for all knowledge. Okay, yeah, I knew it was something like that. He gave up his eye on purpose. I remembered something like that. Like, yeah, the Greek mythology is cool, and your different mythologies, but none of them in my personal preferences or whatever. None of them compared to the Norse. The Norse are just awesome. Their whole family of gods and all their history and everything, and it's just cool as shit. Yeah, Lorna. Yeah, we got a new god now. Odin's the old god. But those mythologies, the stories they used to make up to explain, Mother Nature and stuff. It's fascinating to me how people, like the thunder was Thor banging his hammer. That explained that. A big guy was up in the sky and he was banging his hammer, and that's where they got the thunder from. They didn't understand the meteorology and the weather systems and all this stuff. They just thought that Thor was pissed off and he was banging his hammer. So that fascinates me, how the ancient peoples used to come up with those stories about to explain stuff that they see in the world, that they saw in the world, and that stuff would propagate, and the stories would be told again, and similar to Greek mythology. Yeah, I wonder if they didn't, like spread out, come from a central point and then spread out at some point way back in the past, like, and then, branch out from there. But yeah, Greek mythology is cool too. I just, Odin would beat Zeus's ass. I'm just gonna be honest with you there. Zeus would just get the smackdown if he went up against Odin. Oh, okay. Well, that would make sense. Yeah, Lorna, that would make sense. I just don't discount anything. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't. People say the Earth is flat, and people say all kinds of stuff. Wi-Fi causes cancer, and 5G is gonna kill everybody and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. 5G hasn't killed me yet, so but how can I'm not gonna say that I don't know shit about 5G. So how can I say one way or the other? But that's kind of where I am with that stuff. I'm just open-minded. I ask questions and I'm open-minded, and I like to stay open-minded because I don't really want to be dead wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because I've done that when I was younger. I thought I 100% knew something, and then it turned out that I was just completely wrong. Then I felt like shit. So I've learned in my life and in my, just my personal way I do things now is that I just stay open-minded, and I don't discount anything. That way I can't, one, make a fool of my damn self, and two, I just think that that's just the way I choose to be. I just think that's a better way for me, just to be open-minded about things, and not to discount anything. Anything's possible. I don't know. I have no idea. But I like to investigate things and talk about stuff that may or may not be possible. Raziel, what's up? Glad to see you here. My boy Mike Fleisner, what's up, Mike? Oh, you just got home from work, dude. Holy shit, I'm about to leave for work. So, I feel you, dude. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that before too, Leg, that Ragnarok is a restart, a reset. So, yeah, that it's like the wheel, like the cyclical time thing, it resets. And I haven't delved a lot into Ragnarok, but I'm sort of familiar with it. And I don't know, part of my familiarity comes from that, from the Thor movies with Thor Ragnarok and all that. So I don't know how many liberties they took with the whole story. So I'm not real sure how much of the information I have in my head is actually correct. So I don't talk a whole lot about that kind of stuff where I don't really have any idea whether I know what I'm talking about or not. Julia Pierce, what's up? What's up, Gen Xers? Glad y'all are here. Yeah, Raziel, yep. Yeah, that's another way to put it too. That's a good way to put it. Is we see so many impossible things happen that it's hard to discount anything 100% anymore. You know what I mean? It's just difficult to do that. Not how can I discount, UFOs and aliens and stuff when I've never seen it, just because I've never seen them. Never in my life have I seen a panda. Not in real life. Never seen one, not in real life. I've seen videos of them, but I've seen videos of UFOs. So how the hell can I discount a UFO but not discount a panda? You know what I'm saying? Because I've never seen it. Well, I've never seen a panda. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I can't discount shit just because I've never experienced it myself. I just kind of lean one way or the other with the flat Earth thing. I can't say that 100% that the Earth isn't flat, even though I lean pretty heavily toward it being a globe, just out of my life experience and stuff. But I can't say 100% the Earth is flat and I'd bet my life on it. Or the Earth is a globe and I'd bet my life on it. The Earth is not flat. Well, hell, I don't know. I've never been up there into space and looked down and saw what the hell it was, But I've seen a lot of the evidence that they show for the Earth being flat, and there is some evidence. There's no proof, but there's evidence, so I can see where people would think that. I just personally don't believe it. Yeah, like impossible is just a lack of explanation, understanding. Science still has a limit. Yeah, and that says a lot right there. Yeah, we just don't understand it yet. We don't understand what's going on. Oliver Rust. We had a whole Bigfoot thing. We had a whole talk about Bigfoot. Don't throw that kidding. So you didn't have to throw that kidding stuff in here. We got some Bigfoot believers. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, skunk ape, Yeti, the abominable snowman. Yeah, we had a whole conversation earlier about maybe a couple weeks ago, about are all of those the same thing? Are they all just the same species, or are they all different? Just closely related or whatever. And I have actually seen real solid evidence with my own two eyes. Not hearsay, not a picture of something, with my own two eyes. I have seen, not proof now, don't get me wrong, not proof, but real good evidence of a Bigfoot. And I'm still skeptical. Even though I've seen the shit myself, but because I did not see proof, I saw evidence. Oh, okay. Yeah. I enjoy fiction. I enjoy science fiction and fantasy and stuff like that. So but I enjoy a lot of nonfiction too, especially science. I don't know why. I love physics and all that cosmic stuff. And even though I think they're full of shit a lot of times, it fascinates me trying to figure out how the universe works. I've made entire videos about how I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory, and I don't. I think it's bullshit. But the thing that gets me about it is that we're taught the Big Bang Theory like it's a fact, right? But I don't buy that shit. There are too many questions in my head about it. But still, I'm fascinated by that line of science, right? It fascinates me. I love that shit. Oh, okay. It's not a reset. Humboldt County, Julia. Oh yeah, yeah, Oliver, you just missed it. It was pretty good. We had a whole talk about Bigfoot and Yeti and stuff. So yeah, we're uh we're not against, put it like that. We're not against the possibility of Bigfoot existing around here. So yeah, and like I said, I've seen evidence. So and maybe I'll tell that story during the longer live stream on Sunday. If you're there, remind me, Oliver, and I'll tell it. I just don't have time to go into it right now, but I got to get ready for work here pretty quick. But yeah, I've actually seen evidence. Oh, okay. You actually saw jets chasing an air UFO AF? That'd be pretty cool. That'd be something cool to see. Yeah. That's the thing, Raziel. A lot of that shit can be faked. Especially with the deep fake shit now with all this AI generated video and stuff. It's so easy to fake now. I saw this stat where um, paranormal activity, right? The reports of paranormal activity and stuff like that, that it, per year through the 20th century was like pretty steady at, I don't know what it was, whatever number, a thousand a year reports of paranormal activity and UFO sightings and shit, right? Were pretty steady. It was a graph, a bar graph, and then it showed the invention of the camera. All right, and it dropped. It dropped way down after the invention of the Polaroid camera or whatever. It dropped way down. People quit. I guess they take a picture or whatever they saw and then later look at it and say, "Oh, okay, that's not what I thought it was," or whatever. All right, and it went like that for a few years. Okay, and then it jumped back up with the invention of Photoshop because they could manipulate the images. Then, oh well, that wasn't Bigfoot. Well, if I just do this, now it's Bigfoot. I put that shit on my Facebook page. You know, that shit cracked me up. But yeah, and with the invention of Photoshop, the reports of paranormal activity and stuff skyrocketed again. So yeah, we kind of slid backwards with the advent of technology in a lot of ways. Oh yeah, that In Search of with Leonard Nimoy, Mike. That's cool as shit, huh? Yeah, I like that show. Yeah, it was bad. Wasn't it the late '70s? I think it was the late '70s, maybe early '80s in that area. Yeah, I like those too. Never really gotten into the organic chemistry, but yeah, I've been fat. I'll read. I used to have I forget what level it was, but some kind of college physics textbook that I would just read like a novel. That was my reading material. I love that shit. Yeah. Yeah, Julia. Yeah, it is. That shit gets crazy. And it's awesome too. And I forget if it was Niels Bohr, one of those guys that kind of started figuring out or invented or whatever quantum mechanics, the quantum theory. A famous quote by them is that if you understand it, you're not doing it right. So that's how crazy and weird that quantum shit gets when you start messing with quantum physics and quantum mechanics and all that. It's just spooky and weird, and it just can't be understood. And that was that. I think it was Niels Bohr. I forget. It might have been someone else though, so don't quote me on it. But yeah, that shit is just fascinating, and that's almost paranormal shit. Okay. All right. Uh, Patty in the 1960s. Navy pilots, Mike. Yeah, Raziel. And nothing's like the movies, right? Uh, I was in the military, and you watch these military movies, and once in a blue moon, a movie will get it right. Okay, but most of the time, that it's bullshit. You're looking at stuff, and you're like, man, that's not how it is. What the hell are you doing? So yeah, nothing's like it is in the movies, but so people get a skewed idea of what things are, like what you're talking about, the exorcism and stuff, or military, anything, science, anything. If you reverse the Fermi paradox, the unexplained UFO is evidence. Oh, all right. I don't know what the hell that means. Like, I'm not. You're gonna make me do homework now. Leg just gave me some homework. Shit, I can barely get enough sleep now, dude. Leg's giving me homework. Now I gotta look up. I've heard of the Fermi paradox, but I can't remember what the hell it is. I'm gonna have to go do some research now. Reverse the Fermi paradox. All right. Yeah. Technology and the Book of Revelations, or the Book of Revelation. Yeah. Yeah, that Book of Revelation's pretty cool. Um, that's a really interesting thing to get into as well. If you want to get into that kind of stuff, and there's anything that predicts the future, and I don't know, I find that stuff fascinating. So I like getting into that kind of stuff. Yeah, quantum entanglement. That's crazy, huh, Julia? Yeah. And Einstein fought against that stuff for years because he just, he he didn't believe that that's how it worked. He just didn't believe that shit. But finally, it came. They pretty much proved it, or were unable to disprove it after so many years. Zombie, what's up, dude? Good morning. Humanity evolved late? Well, I've never thought of that. Or I always thought we evolved early. We're one of the first ones. Or we could be one of the last ones. Hell, who knows? Depending on when it all came together, the timeline. That's interesting too. When you look at the timeline of the universe, right? The entire universe. Is there a timeline? You know what I'm saying? I mean, time is just a construct because of the way our brains interact with the shit we see. From one step to the next, it seems like time progresses. But it does it. You know what I mean? Is time even a thing? Is eternity just no time? No, time goes away. It doesn't exist. If it's just some shit we made up. So, yeah, that's Alien Grow Show. What's up? Alien Grow Show. That's awesome. But yeah, I think about that though, like time, when I think about that time being a construct of humanity, just an idea that we came up with. um, how did cavemen and shit deal with stuff? How did they see stuff? And when you look at it, if you made 13 months instead of 12, then every month would have 12 days. 12, shit. every month would have 28 days, right? And like the first of every month would be on the Monday, and the last of every month would be on the Sunday or whatever. It would just it's just perfect. It works out perfect, right? The calendar year would just be divided perfectly into 13 months, directly aligned with the lunar cycle. All right. But that's not what we have, because Julius Caesar made the Julian calendar and he just didn't want it that way. Now, but when you grow up into something and it's just the way it is, it takes a little thought to get outside that box and look at it and say, okay, so this whole calendar thing and the leap year and all that stuff, we got to deal. That's just some shit people made up. That's all it is. It's just some shit people made up. But you know, that kind of blows my mind, how things that we think are so integral and just part of the universe, it's just completely made up by people. It's not a part of the universe. Our calendar, our year, and all that stuff, our decades, those are just divisions and stuff that people come up with. The generation is a perfect example. Generation X, 1965 to 1980. That's just some shit somebody came up with. Some people just decided that's the time and they wrote the shit down. Does that delineate Generation X? Everybody born in 1964, no matter what you feel, what kind of music you listen to, no matter what you did, jumped bikes and built forts and did everything we did, but they're separate because some egghead in an office, wrote down 1965 as the cutoff date. Some of those human-made constructs, these ideas, time is a big one, they're just arbitrary, really arbitrary. Somebody decided it was that way, so that's the way it is. So that's why I think Gen X is more of a mindset. So if you're grew up the way we did and believe what we believe and behave the way we behave and all that stuff, then you're probably Gen X, regardless of what year you were born. As long as you're cool, we can't have, we got to have cool Gen Xers. We can't have any clowns joining the club. Zombie, 13.8 billion years. That's the age of the universe. Yeah, that's what they say. But now they're kind of backtracking on that. They don't really understand. That's just as far out as we can see right now with this technology. And that's another thing where I have problem with it, because the more technology we get, the further we can look out, the older the universe gets. So if the universe is literally endless and time is eternal, then none of that shit, all that shit's out the window. And you can flip a coin because we have no idea. The smartest scientist with the most advanced equipment has no idea how old the universe is, how long it will last, what's going on, nothing. All they do, they're just guessing and making up these theories and presenting them to us, right? Well, I believe that the universe is 13.8 billion years old. Well, 100 or so years ago, maybe more now, 150 years ago, they thought that the Milky Way was the universe. That's all. That was the whole universe. They didn't know about anything else. And then Hubble got to looking out there, and he realized that there were some of those stars we see out there are actually other galaxies. They're not stars, they're galaxies. When you look outside of our galaxy, now however many trillions of light years away, there are other galaxies shining in the night like stars. And the universe just exploded in size as far as, science understood. So, when you see that shit, and who's to say that the next leap in technology isn't going to expand the universe again? Holy shit, this is just this tiny little part of our known universe, our visible, detectable universe, it's just a tiny little speck in the real thing. Just like, just like when they discovered we were in the Milky Way galaxy, and we weren't in the whole entire universe by what they were seeing. Yeah, no losers, AF, no losers in Gen X. Care when they were born. They got to be cool. Yeah, no sellouts, no losers. Yeah, none of that shit. Yeah, Alien Groucho, yeah. The difference between pass and fail is 1% to have completely different outcomes, yeah. And I'm not, I'm not hacking on science. They're doing the best they can. I'm just what I'm talking about is our understanding of science, the population, society's understanding of science and what they actually do and what they actually understand, right? They're doing their best to figure stuff out. It's their job. They're doing great. I'm not hacking on them. Most of them anyway. Now scientists that work for big pharma and these other, that's a different subject. But these cosmologists looking out into the universe trying to figure shit out. I don't have any problem with scientists. I wish I was a scientist doing that shit. But my problem is with society's understanding of what science finds, right? Because we have this understanding, oh, the Big Bang Theory, that's the way it happened. It's written in stone, 100%, you know what I'm saying? And people just don't understand that's a theory, and then they have another theory because they figured out that the Big Bang Theory just doesn't work. It's false. It can't work. So they had to make another theory to prop up the Big Bang Theory. So the Big Bang Theory is actually two theories because they needed another one because they figured out that shit didn't work. And I watched a video of an interview of the guy that came up with the Big Bang Theory, and he says that's old shit. I was wrong. He just says that he doesn't believe that shit anymore. He was wrong, basically. And he's got this new thing that he's working on or whatever. So yeah, we just can't, in my opinion, we can't take this shit that their theories and stuff, we can't take them as solid fact. Not if we want to know the truth. We got to understand that they are searching. They're searching for stuff. They're not just relaying solid facts to us. Yeah. Yeah, that's the craziest part. Solid matter doesn't exist. We perceive it that way. Yeah. That's what really blows my mind, Lake, is that everything is just fields and vibrations, and it's just the way my mind interprets the stuff, right? Because light is just a vibration, and it's the way that my eyes interpret that light and send signals to my brain, right? So it's just insane when I think about that shit. And everything is that physical matter, sound, everything. That's why you can't hear some of the low frequency communication between elephants, because their sound waves are low frequency and our ears just don't detect them. Is it still sound if the human ears don't detect it? Is it still light if our eyes don't detect it? It's crazy. And then how different colors, so the light bounces off my wall here, and I see this color. That shit's fascinating. Really something to think about. But everything is just vibrations and fields. Yeah, like you're right. Oh, a reality show for aliens? Yeah, Julia. Yeah. Shannon, what's up, Shannon? We're talking about science and aliens. We threw Bigfoot in there. Um, what else? Theories, the age of the universe, Big Bang Theory, all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, all right, Raziel. Yeah, engineering is cool. That's more, solid, real shit. You don't have a theory of, about how some shit goes together. Yeah, zombie. That's what I heard. The impact theory. The only thing I have about that is that when with other planets, when that kind of stuff happens, they get a ring around them. All right, the moon is huge compared to the Earth, and that's the question I have about that. The impact theory. There are no little chunks of the moon, no dust residue of the moon going around the Earth. There aren't little particles going around the Earth. It's every single speck of it coagulated into the moon. The moon collected every speck of itself back into the moon. That just seems improbable to me. I don't know why. That is the most common sense explanation for how we got the moon. I don't argue that. That's the best reason we have the moon, is the impact theory. But that one question in my mind, I can't get around that. Why isn't there other chunks floating around? If the moon impacted and spun around in this big sling of molten lava and shit, you can, I just, I just can't understand why it didn't leave other particles. Why don't we have little chunks? Why don't we have like three moons? One big one and two kind of little smaller ones. Why don't we have a ring around us? No other particle, not even a dust particle is, out there. It's just the moon, solid and whole and complete. So that doesn't make sense to me. And I'm probably just completely wrong. The moon probably went around and just collected all the stuff, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. That's the only question I have about it. Why I can't just buy into it 100% and say, oh, it's the impact theory. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, I believe that is most likely how we got the moon, and that's the theory that makes the most sense to me. I still, like I said about everything, I'm not 100% on anything, literally. Why is the sun so white and the moon is being seen during the daytime? Well, that the moon being seen during the daytime is just because it hasn't gone all the way around, and it's, when the sun comes up, the moon hasn't gone all the way around, and sometimes it'll show up. The sun's so white, that just depends on the day. That's more the atmosphere, right? Because the light has to come through our atmosphere. So depending on where you're at on the planet and the composition of the atmosphere, that's going to change the way the sun looks or the moon looks when you look up at it. Yeah. Who's that? Fanter Darth? Yeah, that's probably what happened. The only question I have is that how was it so perfect? How did it get every single one of them when I look out at the rest of the solar system, and no other moon has done that? They have rings of dust particles around them, around the other planets. They have smaller chunks of moons around the other planets. Our moon is the only one that completely cleaned itself up. It doesn't fit with the rest of what I see in the solar system. I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not saying that I don't believe that the impact theory is correct. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's the only question I have with it. That's just one little niggling thing that's in my mind about it. It's hollow and rings like a bell. Yeah, it might. Maybe that's what Thor was beating on with his hammer. Huh? Yeah, bong. Yeah. You got cammed all day there? Yeah. John Redmond, what's up? What's up, John? And who is that? Fanterduth? What's up, Fanterduth? Ann Arbor? Oh, alright, zombie. Yeah, that's perfectly plausible, Shannon. Time has passed, but so much time has passed around Saturn too, and Jupiter and Uranus. Their moons didn't clean out their circle around them. So I don't know. And our moon is so big that was a lot of mass to clean up around the Earth. So, and I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm not arguing it. I'm just saying that's just a little thing in my head that hangs up. That's the only question I have. Other than that, the impact theory makes perfect sense. Better than, the capture theory. Hell, you can't. It's just too big. Earth couldn't have captured it. And the sister theory, where it just came apart. That's just ridiculous. So, yeah, no, that one makes the most sense, and I believe that's how it happened. I just have one little niggling thing in my head that won't go away. Yeah, I like all that government conspiracy too. Zombie, the thing about that is, I honestly think that a lot of conspiracy theories, the real wackadoodle conspiracy theories, are psyops by the CIA just so they can have a crazy lunatic bunch of people, right? And call them conspiracy theorists. And then when you come up with a theory about what the government's doing, they can lump you in with the loonies, right? So all conspiracy theorists are in this insane category. You're in there with the, and I'd say crazy, but stuff that just sounds wacky, like UFOs and flat Earth, whatever. They lump you in with those kind of conspiracies. If you wonder what happened to JFK, you're lumped in with those people. So just to make everyone sound like a wackadoodle, they lump all of them together instead of separating them and investigating each one individually and showing people some kind of proof. All right, well, it's 5 o'clock, so I've got to go and get ready for work. The paranormal is really paranoia. Yeah, that's another whole interesting thing, Shannon, about the magnetic pole reversals and all that stuff. Yeah, that's really cool. All right. Oh yeah, thank you, Lake. If you would hit the thumbs up button, and I'm tired today, so I'm not gonna go through my spiel. Not gonna make y'all sit through it. But normally, one thing is that I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I don't say any of that bullshit at the beginning of my show. I don't like that shit when I watch other YouTube channels, so I put all that stuff at the end so people don't have to sit through it to watch the show. You know, you don't have to listen to me do that shit. But that's the reason I pack all that shit on at the end of the show and just do a whole spiel, so y'all don't have to listen to that shit if y'all don't want to. But I'm not even gonna do that today. I'm tired. I gotta get ready for work. So yeah, it should be a pretty good day. We're gonna do the countertops today, Raziel. JP, what's up, dude? Glad to see you here, man. If you're just joining us, I'm about to shut it down. But we had a good conversation about science and some conspiracy theories, Bigfoot and stuff like that. A really interesting show today. But just want to thank everybody for showing up. Laic, JP, April, Raziel, John Redmond, Lorna Charles, Julia Pierce, Shannon, Zombie. Who else we got? My boy Mike Fleisner, Alien Grow Show. Who else we got here? Metal Gear Punisher, Oliver Rust, Fennerdath. All right. Did I get everybody? I hope so. Trip is still on a trip. I crack myself up with that shit. Y'all probably think I'm an idiot, but that shit cracks me up. Trip's on a trip. We got a subscriber named Tripwire. We all call him Trip, for those of y'all who don't watch every show or whatever. But he let me know he was on a trip, so he wouldn't be around. We're missing Vintage, though. Oliver Rust. Did I say Oliver Rust? All right. I think I got close to everyone. AF. Can't forget AF. All right. So just wanted to tell all of y'all thank you for showing up and hanging out with me. If I missed your name, I apologize, but I still say thank you. And to everybody who might watch on a television and can't type in the comments, thank you for watching. This is actually how I watch these YouTube videos, is on TV, so I don't participate in the comments of the ones I watch. So I know you're out there, and I do appreciate you watching. All right, and I'll leave you there with that. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.